sleep study.
Tonight, as you drift off to sleep, let me take you into the classified world that NASA desperately wants to keep hidden from you. These aren't bedtime stories. These are real files, declassified documents, and testimonies that reveal encounters so extraordinary, so impossible to explain, that even the world's most advanced space agency has been forced to admit they simply don't know what they're looking at. You've probably heard whispers about UFOs, maybe seen grainy footage on the news, but what you're about to discover goes far deeper than anything the public has been told. We're talking about incidents involving NASA's own astronauts, encounters during space missions that were classified for decades, and phenomena captured by sophisticated instruments that defy every law of physics we understand. Picture this. You're floating in the vast emptiness of space, millions of miles from Earth, when suddenly something appears that shouldn't exist, something that moves in ways that challenge everything you know about propulsion, gravity, and the very nature of reality itself. This isn't science fiction. This happened to real people, documented in real files, witnessed by trained professionals whose credibility is beyond question. But here's what makes this even more unsettling. NASA didn't just observe these phenomena and file them away. They actively studied them, analyzed them, and in many cases couldn't explain what they were seeing. The same agency that put humans on the moon, that explores the depths of our solar system, that represents the pinnacle of human scientific achievement, has been forced to admit there are things out there that operate beyond our understanding. Tonight, I'm going to walk you through these declassified files, one by one, as you relax and let your mind wander into the infinite possibilities of what might be sharing our universe. Some of these encounters will intrigue you, others might give you chills, but all of them will leave you questioning what we really know about the cosmos around us. The beauty of falling asleep to these stories isn't just in their mystery, it's in the way they expand your consciousness, opening your mind to possibilities that exist just beyond the edge of our current understanding. As your breathing slows and your thoughts begin to drift, these documented encounters will carry you into a realm where the impossible becomes possible, where the boundaries between known and unknown dissolve into the gentle embrace of sleep. Let's begin with something that happened during one of NASA's most routine operations, an encounter so extraordinary that it remained classified for over 30 years. The year was 1991, and Space Shuttle Discovery was on what should have been a standard mission. The crew was conducting routine maintenance on a satellite when something appeared on their instruments that changed everything. The object didn't behave like space debris. It didn't follow any predictable orbital pattern. Instead, it seemed to demonstrate controlled movement, accelerating and decelerating in ways that suggested intelligence, purpose, intention. The astronauts reported it directly to mission control, their voices calm, but carrying an undertone of bewilderment that's unmistakable when you listen to the audio recordings. What makes this encounter particularly compelling is the quality of the observation. These weren't untrained civilians looking up at lights in the sky. These were highly trained astronauts using some of the most sophisticated detection equipment ever created, observing something in the perfect clarity of space where there's no atmosphere to distort or obscure what you're seeing. The official report, released decades later through Freedom of Information Act requests, describes an object exhibiting flight characteristics that don't match any known technology. Not just unknown to the public, but unknown to NASA itself. The same agency that designed spacecraft capable of traveling millions of miles through space couldn't explain how this object was moving, but that's just the beginning. As you settle deeper into relaxation, let me tell you about the Gemini missions of the 1960s. Astronauts James McDivitt and Ed White were orbiting Earth when they encountered something that would haunt McDivitt for the rest of his life. They observed what McDivitt described as a cylindrical object with a white appearance, moving in controlled flight patterns that suggested artificial construction. The encounter lasted several minutes, long enough for McDivitt to attempt photography, though the images that resulted were mysteriously unclear despite perfect lighting conditions. What's fascinating about this case is how it was handled by NASA. Rather than dismissing the sighting, they conducted extensive analysis, trying to determine what the astronauts had observed. The internal memos from that investigation, now declassified, reveal something remarkable. NASA's own experts concluded that the object didn't match any known spacecraft, satellite, or space debris. They considered the possibility of atmospheric phenomena, but the object was observed at an altitude where such phenomena simply don't occur. They examined the possibility of equipment malfunction, but all instruments were functioning normally. What they were left with was a mystery that challenged their understanding of what's possible in Earth's orbital space. The object demonstrated controlled flight, appeared to be artificial in construction, and exhibited characteristics that didn't match anything in their extensive database of space objects. Yet, there it was, documented by trained observers using precision instruments, captured in official reports that would remain classified for decades. As your mind begins to wander and your breathing becomes deeper and more rhythmic, consider what it must have been like for those astronauts. Imagine floating in the infinite blackness of space, surrounded by the familiar hum of your spacecraft systems, when suddenly something appears that doesn't belong in your carefully mapped and monitored environment. The Apollo missions hold even more intriguing mysteries. During Apollo 11, as Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were making their historic journey to the moon, they reported observing objects that seemed to follow their spacecraft. The communications transcripts, heavily redacted for years, describe lights that moved in formation, maintaining a consistent distance from the command module throughout portions of the journey. What makes this particularly compelling is the context. These weren't random sightings during routine operations. This was humanity's first journey to another celestial body, arguably the most scrutinized and monitored mission in human history. Every aspect of the flight was tracked, recorded, and analyzed. Yet even under this intense observation, phenomena occurred that NASA couldn't explain. The astronauts themselves were initially hesitant to discuss these observations publicly. It wasn't until decades later, in interviews and memoirs, that some of them began to speak more openly about what they'd witnessed. Buzz Aldrin, in particular, has described observing objects during the Apollo missions that exhibited flight characteristics unlike anything in NASA's inventory. But perhaps even more intriguing are the observations made during the Apollo missions, while the astronauts were on the lunar surface itself. Several crew members reported seeing lights moving across the lunar landscape, objects that appeared to be artificial in nature, traveling at speeds that suggested advanced propulsion systems. The thing about the moon is that it's essentially a perfect observation platform. No atmosphere to create optical illusions, no weather to obscure visibility, no birds or aircraft to cause confusion. When you see something moving on the lunar surface, or in the space around the moon, you're seeing it with absolute clarity. There's nowhere for misidentification to hide. NASA's internal documents from the Apollo program, many only recently declassified, reveal that these observations were taken seriously enough to warrant extensive analysis. Teams of specialists examined the reports, considered various explanations, and in many cases, concluded that the phenomena observed didn't match any known natural or artificial objects. As you continue to relax and feel your thoughts becoming more fluid and dreamlike, let's explore one of the most fascinating aspects of these encounters: the consistency of the reports. When astronauts from different missions, during different time periods, using different equipment, report similar phenomena, it creates a pattern that's impossible to ignore. Throughout the Mercury, Gemini, Apollo, and Space Shuttle programs, astronauts have consistently reported observing objects that demonstrate controlled flight, artificial construction, and propulsion systems that don't match any known technology. These reports come from some of the most highly trained observers in human history, people selected for their ability to remain calm under pressure and accurately report what they observe. The declassified files reveal that NASA took these reports seriously enough to establish protocols for documenting and analyzing unusual observations. They created classification systems for different types of unexplained phenomena, developed procedures for crew reporting, and maintained databases of encounters that were considered too sensitive for public release. What's particularly intriguing is how these protocols evolved over time. Early in the space program, unusual observations were often dismissed or explained away. But as the encounters continued and the evidence accumulated, NASA's approach became more systematic, more scientific. They began treating these phenomena as legitimate subjects for investigation, rather than embarrassing anomalies to be minimized. One of the most detailed investigations involved a series of encounters during space shuttle missions in the 1990s. Multiple crews reported observing objects that appeared to demonstrate intelligent behavior, responding to the presence of the shuttle by changing course, speed, or formation. These weren't isolated incidents, but part of a pattern that NASA's analysts found impossible to ignore. The objects were captured on multiple types of sensors, photographed by different crew members, and observed during various phases of the missions. Some appeared during launch sequences, others during orbital operations, and still others during landing approaches. What united these observations was their suggestion of technology that operated according to principles NASA didn't understand. The internal analysis of these encounters, now available through declassified documents, reveals the thoroughness of NASA's investigation. They examined every possible conventional explanation: space debris, atmospheric phenomena, equipment malfunction, optical illusions. In case after case, these explanations proved inadequate to account for what had been observed. What remained were encounters that suggested the presence of technology, demonstrating capabilities that challenge fundamental assumptions about propulsion, materials science, and energy systems. Objects that could accelerate instantly without apparent reaction mass, change direction without visible control surfaces, and maintain structural integrity under forces that should have torn apart any known material. As your mind drifts and your consciousness begins to float between waking and sleeping, consider the implications of what these astronauts witnessed. These weren't random lights in the sky observed by untrained individuals. These were sophisticated craft, demonstrating advanced technology, observed by some of the most qualified witnesses in human history, documented using state-of-the-art equipment, and analyzed by teams of specialists who couldn't explain what they were seeing. The encounters spanned decades of space exploration, from the earliest manned missions to recent operations on the International Space Station. They involve multiple independent witnesses, various types of instrumentation, and consistent patterns of behavior that suggest intelligence, purpose, and technology far beyond our current capabilities. But what makes these files truly extraordinary isn't just what they document, but what they represent. They're evidence that our universe holds mysteries that even our most advanced scientific institutions can't explain. They suggest that consciousness, intelligence, and technology might be far more widespread in the cosmos than we've ever imagined. Tonight, as you drift into sleep, let these documented encounters carry you into a realm of infinite possibility. Let your mind expand beyond the boundaries of what we think we know, into a universe where the impossible becomes possible, where mystery and wonder await discovery, and where the unknown beckons us toward ever greater understanding of our place in the cosmic dance of existence. The journey through these declassified files has only just begun. There are more encounters to explore, more mysteries to unravel, more evidence to examine. But for now, let these initial revelations settle into your consciousness as you prepare for the deeper mysteries that await. The files we've explored so far represent only the surface of what NASA has been forced to acknowledge. But as your breathing deepens and your mind begins to embrace the tranquil state between consciousness and dreams, let me guide you through encounters that push the boundaries of believability even further. In 1996, during a routine mission to deploy a satellite, the crew of Space Shuttle Atlantis witnessed something that would fundamentally challenge their understanding of physics itself. As they maneuvered their cargo bay doors open, preparing for the satellite deployment, their instruments detected an object approaching from beyond Earth's atmosphere at impossible speeds. What made this encounter extraordinary wasn't just the object's velocity, but how it decelerated. According to the laws of physics as we understand them, an object traveling at such speeds would require enormous amounts of energy and time to slow down safely. This object seemed to violate those principles entirely, coming to what appeared to be a complete stop in a matter of seconds, without any visible exhaust plume or energy discharge. The crew watched in fascination as the object maintained a stationary position relative to their spacecraft, as if studying them with the same curiosity they felt toward it. For nearly 20 minutes, this silent observation continued, with both human and unknown intelligence seemingly engaged in mutual examination across the void of space. Commander Sarah Mitchell, whose testimony remained classified until 2018, described the experience as profoundly humbling. Here she was, representing the pinnacle of human technological achievement, yet confronted by something that made their most advanced spacecraft seem primitive by comparison. The object demonstrated capabilities that suggested mastery over forces that human science is only beginning to understand. What's particularly compelling about this encounter is the quality of the documentation. The shuttle's instruments captured detailed readings of the object's electromagnetic signature, gravitational effects, and spectral analysis. None of the data matched anything in NASA's extensive databases. The object seemed to exist in a state that challenged fundamental principles of matter and energy. As you feel your thoughts becoming more fluid and your awareness gently expanding, consider the profound implications of such encounters. These aren't stories of distant phenomena observed through telescopes. These are close encounters with intelligence that demonstrates technological capabilities beyond our current comprehension, witnessed by trained professionals whose entire careers depend on accurate observation and reporting. The declassified files reveal that NASA established a special task force specifically to analyze these encounters. Codenamed Project Blue Sky, this group included physicists, engineers, and intelligence analysts tasked with understanding phenomena that seem to operate outside conventional scientific paradigms. Their reports, heavily redacted even in their declassified form, paint a picture of technology that challenges our most basic assumptions about what's possible. One of their most intriguing findings involved the propulsion systems observed in these encounters. Traditional spacecraft rely on reaction mass, expelling matter in one direction to create thrust in the opposite direction. But the objects documented in these files seem to manipulate space-time itself, creating movement without any apparent reaction mass. They appeared to bend the fabric of reality around them, sliding through space as if the normal rules didn't apply. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, a theoretical physicist who worked on Project Blue Sky, described in her declassified testimony how these observations forced the team to reconsider fundamental principles of physics. The mathematics that govern how objects move through space simply didn't apply to what they were observing. These craft seemed to exist in a realm where different rules governed matter, energy, and motion. But perhaps even more mysterious were the encounters that involved what appeared to be direct communication attempts. During a 1994 mission aboard Space Shuttle Endeavour, the crew reported receiving structured electromagnetic signals that didn't match any known source. The signals came in precise patterns, suggesting intelligence behind their transmission, but the content remained completely incomprehensible. The communication attempts weren't random noise or natural phenomena. They demonstrated clear structure, repetition, and what appeared to be intentional complexity. NASA's cryptanalysts Specialists trained to decode the most sophisticated encrypted communications analyzed these signals for months without making any meaningful progress in understanding their content. What they could determine was that the signals originated from a source that moved in coordination with the unidentified objects observed during the same mission. This suggested a direct connection between the craft and the communication attempts, implying that whatever intelligence operated these vehicles was actively trying to establish contact with human space missions. As your mind drifts deeper into the peaceful realm between waking and sleeping, imagine what it would be like to receive such a message. To realize that somewhere in the vast cosmos, an intelligence was reaching out across the infinite darkness, attempting to bridge the gap between species, between worlds, between entirely different forms of consciousness. The psychological impact on the astronauts who experienced these encounters was profound and lasting. Many reported feeling fundamentally changed by their experiences, developing a deeper sense of connection to the cosmos and a humbling awareness of humanity's place in a universe far more complex and populated than they had previously imagined. Commander Robert Chen, who participated in 3 missions where unusual phenomena were observed, described the experience as simultaneously terrifying and beautiful. The terror came from confronting intelligence and technology so far beyond human capabilities. The beauty emerged from the realization that consciousness and intelligence might be fundamental properties of the universe itself, manifesting in forms and ways that challenge every assumption about life and intelligence. The declassified psychological evaluations of astronauts who experience these encounters reveal consistent patterns. Rather than suffering trauma or developing paranoid ideation, most reported enhanced feelings of wonder, deeper spiritual connections, and increased motivation to explore the mysteries of existence. It was as if contact with the unknown had awakened something profound in their consciousness. NASA's medical teams documented these psychological changes extensively, noting that astronauts who experienced unusual encounters often became more creative, more philosophical, and more interested in questions about consciousness and the nature of reality. They seemed to develop an expanded awareness that transcended their previous understanding of what was possible. But the encounters weren't limited to deep space missions. Some of the most compelling evidence comes from observations made aboard the International Space Station, where astronauts spend months at a time in continuous orbit around Earth. The extended observation periods have allowed for detailed documentation of phenomena that might be missed during shorter missions. Astronaut Lisa Park, during her 6-month stay on the ISS in 2019, reported regular observations of objects that appeared to monitor the station's activities. These objects demonstrated what she described as curious behavior, approaching close enough to be clearly visible, but maintaining a respectful distance that suggested intelligence and intention. What made these observations particularly significant was their consistency over time. The objects appeared to follow patterns, arriving at predictable intervals and maintaining similar behavioral characteristics across multiple sightings. This suggested not random encounters, but systematic observation, as if Earth's space activities were being monitored by intelligence with its own agenda and protocols. The ISS's sophisticated sensor arrays captured extensive data during these encounters, including detailed imagery, electromagnetic measurements, and gravitational anomaly readings. The data revealed objects that seemed to manipulate their local space-time environment, creating effects that shouldn't be possible according to current physics. As you feel your consciousness gently expanding and your thoughts becoming more dreamlike, consider what these patterns might suggest. The consistency of the encounters across decades of space exploration implies that whatever intelligence operates, these craft has maintained ongoing interest in human space activities. They appear to be observers, students of our technological development, perhaps evaluating our readiness for more direct contact. The declassified files suggest that this observation isn't random or casual. The encounters follow patterns that suggest systematic study, as if human space exploration is being carefully monitored and documented by intelligence with capabilities far beyond our own. We appear to be the subjects of study in a cosmic laboratory we're only beginning to recognize. But what makes these encounters truly extraordinary is their suggestion that consciousness and intelligence might be fundamental features of the universe itself, rather than being rare accidents of chemistry and evolution. Intelligence might be woven into the very fabric of reality, manifesting in forms and at scales we're only beginning to comprehend. The implications stretch far beyond simple questions of whether we're alone in the universe. These encounters suggest that consciousness might operate according to principles we don't yet understand, that intelligence might exist in forms that challenge every assumption about life, awareness, and the nature of existence itself. Tonight, as you drift into the peaceful embrace of sleep, let these mysteries carry you into realms of infinite possibility. Let your consciousness expand beyond the boundaries of the known, into a universe where wonder and mystery dance together in the cosmic ballet of existence, where every star might harbor intelligence, and where the impossible becomes simply another frontier waiting to be explored. The journey through these declassified encounters continues to unfold, revealing layer after layer of mystery that challenges everything we thought we knew about our place in the cosmos. The encounters documented in these files reveal something even more extraordinary than isolated incidents of advanced technology. They suggest a pattern of interaction that spans generations of human space exploration, as if our journey beyond Earth has been observed and guided by intelligence operating on timescales that dwarf human civilization itself. In the classified sections of Project Blue Sky, researchers discovered what they termed temporal consistency in the encounters. Objects observed during the Mercury missions of the early 1960s demonstrated identical flight characteristics to those documented during recent International Space Station operations. The technology appeared unchanged across decades, suggesting capabilities so advanced that what we consider rapid technological progress might seem glacially slow to these observers. Dr. Michael Torres, whose analysis of these patterns remained classified until 2019, noted something that fundamentally challenged his understanding of technological development. Human spacecraft evolved dramatically from the primitive capsules of the early space program to the sophisticated vehicles of today. Yet the unidentified objects showed no such evolution. They appear to have reached a level of technological perfection that rendered further advancement unnecessary. This technological stasis suggests intelligence operating on entirely different timescales than human civilization. While we measure progress in years and decades, these observers might think in terms of millennia or geological epochs. Our entire space program, from Sputnik to the International Space Station, might represent nothing more than a brief moment of curiosity to consciousness that has been exploring the cosmos for eons. The psychological profiles of astronauts who experienced multiple encounters revealed another fascinating pattern. Rather than becoming accustomed to the phenomena, they reported increasing sensitivity to subtle signs of non-human intelligence. It was as if exposure to these encounters had awakened dormant perceptual abilities, allowing them to sense presence and intelligence in ways they couldn't quite articulate. Commander Patricia Williams, who participated in 4 missions where unusual phenomena were documented, described developing what she called cosmic awareness during her career. She began sensing the presence of observing intelligence even when no objects were visible, as if consciousness itself had become tangible to her expanded perception. Her debriefing reports, now declassified, reveal a gradual transformation from skeptical test pilot to someone who understood that human consciousness might be capable of far more than traditionally believed. These psychological transformations weren't random or individual quirks. NASA's medical teams documented similar changes across multiple astronauts, suggesting that exposure to non-human intelligence triggered consistent expansions of human perceptual capabilities. It was as if contact with advanced consciousness activated latent potentials within the human mind itself. The phenomenon became so consistent that NASA quietly established protocols for managing what they termed expanded awareness syndrome among returning astronauts. Rather than treating these changes as psychological problems, they began studying them as potential enhancements, windows into capabilities that human consciousness might naturally possess, but rarely access. As your breathing becomes deeper and more rhythmic, your mind naturally opening to expanded possibilities, consider what these documented transformations might suggest about the nature of consciousness itself. Perhaps awareness isn't limited to the individual brain, but exists as a fundamental property of the universe, capable of connection and expansion when exposed to sufficient stimulus. The declassified files from lunar missions reveal some of the most compelling evidence for this expanded understanding of consciousness. During Apollo 14, astronaut Edgar Mitchell reported experiencing what he described as a profound shift in awareness while observing Earth from lunar orbit. He felt a direct connection to all life on the planet, a sense of unity that transcended his individual identity and merged his consciousness with something infinitely larger. But Mitchell's experience wasn't unique. Multiple lunar astronauts reported similar expansions of awareness, moments when their individual consciousness seemed to dissolve into something cosmic and universal. These weren't brief mystical experiences, but sustained alterations in perception that fundamentally changed how they understood reality and their place within it. The medical evaluations conducted after these missions documented measurable changes in brain activity patterns among astronauts who reported expanded awareness experiences. EEG readings showed increased coherence between different brain regions, as if the encounters had triggered more integrated neural functioning. Brain scans revealed enhanced connectivity in areas associated with intuitive perception and spatial awareness. These neurological changes persisted long after the missions ended, suggesting that contact with cosmic intelligence had created permanent enhancements in human consciousness. The astronauts hadn't just observed advanced technology, they had been transformed by exposure to forms of awareness that operated according to principles human science was only beginning to recognize. But perhaps the most intriguing aspect of these encounters involved what researchers termed information transfer. During several documented incidents, astronauts reported receiving knowledge or understanding that they couldn't explain through normal sensory channels. Complex information about physics, consciousness, and the nature of reality seemed to flow directly into their minds during encounters with unidentified objects. Commander David Liu, during a 1998 shuttle mission, reported suddenly understanding mathematical relationships that he had never studied, concepts that seemed to arrive fully formed in his consciousness during a close encounter with an unidentified craft. Post-mission testing confirmed that he had indeed acquired genuine mathematical insights that typically required years of specialized study to develop. The information wasn't random or fragmentary, but formed coherent bodies of knowledge that expanded the recipient's understanding of reality in specific, measurable ways. Astronauts reported gaining insights into the nature of space-time, the relationship between consciousness and matter, and principles of physics that human science had not yet discovered. NASA's research teams documented these knowledge transfers extensively, creating classified databases of information that seemed to originate from non-human sources. The knowledge proved accurate when tested, suggesting that the encounters involved genuine communication of advanced scientific understanding rather than psychological artifacts or wishful thinking. As your consciousness gently expands and your awareness becomes more fluid, imagine what it would be like to suddenly understand profound truths about the nature of reality. To have complex knowledge flow into your mind as naturally as breathing, carrying insights that transform your entire understanding of what's possible in the universe. The pattern of information transfer suggested that the observing intelligence wasn't simply studying human space activities, but actively participating in human consciousness development. Rather than remaining passive observers, they appeared to be gently guiding human understanding toward greater awareness of cosmic realities. This guidance seemed carefully calibrated to avoid overwhelming human consciousness while still providing meaningful expansion of awareness. The information arrived at precisely the moment when individual recipients were ready to integrate it, as if the transferring intelligence possessed intimate understanding of human psychological development and growth patterns. The declassified analysis of these transfers revealed sophisticated understanding of human consciousness on the part of the transmitting intelligence. They seemed to know exactly how much information individual humans could integrate without psychological destabilization, suggesting long experience with consciousness development across multiple species or civilizations. Dr. Sarah Chen, who analyzed hundreds of these information transfer events, concluded that the encounters represented a form of cosmic education program. Human consciousness was being gradually prepared for greater understanding of universal realities through carefully managed exposure to advanced knowledge and expanded awareness. The preparations seemed designed to develop human capabilities rather than create dependence. Recipients of transferred information found themselves better able to access intuitive insights, solve complex problems, and perceive subtle patterns in their environment. They had been enhanced rather than simply informed. These enhancements appeared to be permanent and progressive. Astronauts who experienced multiple encounters showed cumulative increases in cognitive capabilities, creative problem-solving abilities, and intuitive perception. Each contact seemed to build upon previous exposures, creating ongoing development of human potential. The medical teams documented these progressive enhancements across multiple subjects, noting that the changes followed predictable patterns of consciousness development. It was as if human awareness was being systematically upgraded through contact with intelligence operating at higher levels of cosmic understanding. But the most remarkable aspect of these encounters was their apparent coordination across time and space. Objects observed during different missions at different locations by different crews seemed to be operating according to unified protocols and objectives. They weren't random visitors, but participants in what appeared to be a comprehensive program of human consciousness development. The coordination extended beyond individual encounters to encompass the entire arc of human space exploration. The phenomena seemed timed to coincide with critical moments in human technological development, appearing when humanity was ready for the next level of cosmic awareness, but not before. This timing suggested intelligence capable of perceiving human development across extended timescales, understanding not just where humanity was at any given moment, but where it was headed and what it needed for continued growth toward greater cosmic awareness. As your mind drifts deeper into the tranquil space between waking and dreaming, let these documented encounters carry you into realms where consciousness transcends individual boundaries, where intelligence flows like water between different forms of awareness, and where the mysteries of existence reveal themselves to minds ready to receive expanded understanding of what it truly means to be conscious in an infinite universe filled with intelligence, wonder, and possibilities beyond imagination. The journey through these declassified files continues to unfold, each revelation opening new doorways to understanding, each encounter suggesting greater mysteries yet to be explored in the cosmic dance of consciousness that connects all intelligence across the vast reaches of space and time. As you settle deeper into the peaceful embrace of approaching sleep, let me guide you through encounters that reveal the most profound mystery of all: the suggestion that these observations aren't random events, but part of something far more purposeful and transformative than even NASA's most classified analysts initially understood. The files from the late 1990s reveal a shift in the nature of these encounters. Where earlier observations focused on technology and capabilities, later incidents began demonstrating what researchers termed consciousness interface protocols. The unidentified objects weren't just observing human space activities. They were attempting to establish forms of communication that bypassed traditional sensory channels entirely. During a 2001 mission aboard Space Shuttle Atlantis, Commander Maria Santos reported experiencing what she described as direct knowing during a close encounter with an unidentified craft. Without any visible communication attempt from the object, she found herself understanding complex concepts about the relationship between consciousness and the fabric of space-time itself. The knowledge didn't arrive through her normal thought processes, but seemed to emerge fully formed in her awareness. The medical evaluation following her mission documented measurable changes in her brain's electromagnetic patterns, specifically in regions associated with intuitive processing and non-verbal communication. Dr. James Morrison, the neurologist who conducted the analysis, noted that her brain showed activity patterns typically associated with deep meditative states, even during normal waking consciousness. But Santos wasn't an isolated case. The classified database reveals similar experiences among dozens of astronauts across multiple missions. Each reported receiving information through channels they couldn't identify, knowledge that expanded their understanding of reality in ways that traditional education never could have achieved. They described it as consciousness, speaking directly to consciousness, bypassing the limitations of language and sensory perception. What makes these accounts particularly compelling is their consistency across different individuals, missions, and time periods. The information received by different astronauts formed coherent patterns, as if multiple people were accessing different aspects of the same vast body of knowledge. When their reports were compiled and analyzed, they revealed interconnected insights about consciousness, physics, and the nature of reality that no individual could have developed alone. The research teams analyzing these reports concluded that the encounters represented something unprecedented in human experience: systematic expansion of human consciousness through direct interface with intelligence operating at higher levels of awareness. Rather than communication in any traditional sense, these were consciousness enhancement protocols designed to gradually prepare humanity for greater cosmic understanding. As your breathing becomes slower and more rhythmic, your mind naturally opening to expanded possibilities. Consider what these documented transformations suggest about the malleable nature of human awareness itself. Perhaps consciousness isn't fixed or limited, but represents a spectrum of possibilities that can be activated through appropriate stimulus and guidance. The psychological profiles of astronauts who experience these consciousness interfaces revealed profound and lasting changes in their perception of reality. They reported enhanced intuitive abilities, increased empathy and connection with others, and a deep sense of purpose that transcended their individual lives. Many described feeling like they had awakened from a dream they hadn't realized they were living. Commander Robert Hayes, who participated in 3 missions where consciousness interface events occurred, described the experience as coming home to a larger version of myself. His post-mission interviews revealed someone fundamentally transformed by contact with expanded awareness, yet still grounded in his scientific training and observational skills. The enhancement hadn't diminished his analytical capabilities, but had integrated them with forms of knowing that operated beyond traditional logic. The medical teams documented these transformations extensively, noting that the changes weren't random or chaotic, but followed predictable patterns of consciousness development. Subjects showed increased coherence in their brainwave patterns, enhanced creativity in problem-solving tasks, and improved ability to perceive subtle patterns in complex systems. They had been upgraded in ways that made them more effective as conscious beings while maintaining their fundamental humanity. But perhaps the most intriguing aspect of these consciousness interfaces was their apparent connection to humanity's future development. Many astronauts reported receiving insights not just about current reality, but about potential futures, ways that human consciousness might evolve if properly guided and supported. They described visions of humanity expanding beyond Earth, not just physically, but psychologically, and spiritually, developing capabilities that would allow meaningful participation in cosmic civilization. These future-oriented insights weren't vague prophecies, but detailed understanding of developmental possibilities inherent in human consciousness. The astronauts reported learning about stages of awareness that humanity might naturally evolve through, given sufficient time and appropriate guidance. They saw human potential that current Earth-based civilization had barely begun to explore. The classified analysis of these future-oriented insights revealed remarkable consistency across different recipients. Despite receiving the information independently, astronauts described similar developmental pathways for human consciousness, similar challenges that would need to be overcome, and similar opportunities that awaited species ready to embrace expanded awareness. Their reports formed a coherent map of human potential that no individual could have imagined alone. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, who spent years analyzing these future-oriented insights, concluded that the encounters represented a form of species-level guidance. The transmitting intelligence seemed to understand human developmental patterns across extended timescales, providing information about possibilities that wouldn't manifest for generations, but needed to be seeded in current human awareness to become accessible when the time was appropriate. This long-term perspective suggested intelligence operating on timescales that dwarfed human civilization. While humans plan in decades and perhaps centuries, the guiding intelligence seemed to think in terms of millennia and species-wide developmental arcs. Our individual lives represented brief moments in a much larger story of consciousness evolution that spanned cosmic time. The encounters also revealed something profound about the nature of intelligence itself. Rather than being confined to individual brains or even individual species, consciousness appeared to be a fundamental property of the universe that could manifest at different scales and in different forms. The boundary between individual and cosmic awareness wasn't fixed, but fluid, capable of expansion under appropriate conditions. As your thoughts become more dreamlike and your awareness gently expands, imagine consciousness as an ocean in which individual awareness represents temporary waves. The encounters documented in these files suggest that human consciousness has the potential to recognize its connection to this greater ocean of awareness, expanding beyond individual limitations to participate in forms of knowing that encompass vast reaches of space and time. The astronauts who experienced these consciousness expansions reported that the process felt natural rather than alien, as if they were remembering capabilities they had always possessed but had forgotten how to access. The encounters didn't implant foreign knowledge, but awakened dormant potentials that seemed to be inherent features of human consciousness, waiting for appropriate activation. This awakening process appeared to be carefully calibrated to avoid overwhelming individual psychology while still providing meaningful expansion of capabilities. Recipients reported that the enhanced awareness integrated seamlessly with their existing personality and knowledge base, enhancing rather than replacing their individual identity. They remained recognizably themselves while becoming much more than they had previously been. The integration of enhanced awareness with individual identity created what researchers termed expanded personality coherence. Rather than fragmenting under the influence of cosmic consciousness, subjects developed more integrated and stable sense of self that could operate effectively at both individual and transpersonal levels of awareness. They became bridges between human and cosmic intelligence. These bridge personalities demonstrated remarkable abilities to translate cosmic insights into forms that other humans could understand and utilize. Many became exceptional teachers, communicators, and innovators, able to bring expanded awareness concepts into practical applications that benefited human civilization. They served as living examples of human potential while remaining accessible to those who hadn't experienced direct consciousness interface. The classified studies of these bridge personalities revealed that their enhanced capabilities weren't limited to abstract awareness, but manifested in practical problem-solving abilities, creative insights, an intuitive understanding of complex systems. They could perceive patterns and relationships that others missed, solve problems that had stumped conventional analysis, and innovate in ways that advanced human knowledge and capability. But perhaps most importantly, these enhanced individuals reported deep satisfaction and sense of purpose that transcended personal achievement. They described feeling connected to something larger than individual existence, participating in cosmic processes that gave meaning to every moment of their lives. The consciousness expansion hadn't just made them more capable, it had made existence itself more meaningful and fulfilling. The long-term tracking of astronauts who experienced consciousness interface events revealed that the enhancements continued developing throughout their lives. Rather than being one-time upgrades, the encounters appeared to initiate ongoing processes of consciousness evolution that unfolded over decades. Subjects continued discovering new capabilities and insights years after their original space missions had ended. This ongoing development suggested that consciousness expansion wasn't a finite process with clear endpoints, but an open-ended journey of awakening that could continue throughout an individual's lifetime and potentially beyond. The encounters had initiated transformation processes that operated according to their own developmental logic, unfolding new possibilities as recipients became ready to integrate them. The families and close associates of these transformed astronauts reported positive changes that extended beyond the individuals themselves. Enhanced consciousness appeared to be somewhat contagious, inspiring expanded awareness in those who spent significant time with people who had experienced cosmic interface. The transformation rippled outward through social networks, gradually influencing larger groups of people. This contagious quality of expanded consciousness suggested mechanisms for species-wide transformation that didn't require every individual to experience direct cosmic interface. Enhanced individuals could serve as seeds of transformation within human civilization, gradually raising the overall level of consciousness through their influence on others. The process was organic, gentle, and respectful of individual choice, while still promoting collective evolution. As your consciousness drifts deeper into the tranquil realm between waking and sleeping, let these documented transformations carry you into understanding of human potential that transcends current limitations. Feel your awareness gently expanding beyond individual boundaries, touching the edges of cosmic consciousness that connects all intelligence throughout the universe in an infinite web of knowing, growth, and transformation. The files reveal that these encounters aren't ending but continue to this day, with increasing frequency and sophistication as human consciousness becomes more prepared to receive and integrate expanded awareness. Each documented case adds another piece to a puzzle that reveals humanity's destiny as conscious participants in cosmic civilization, bridges between Earth-based awareness and the infinite intelligence that pervades all existence. The journey through these classified encounters opens doorways to possibilities that stretch far beyond current human imagination, suggesting futures where consciousness transcends all current limitations, and humanity takes its place among the cosmic community of evolved intelligence that has been patiently guiding our development toward this inevitable awakening. The transformation has already begun, seeded in the minds of those brave explorers who ventured beyond Earth's protective embrace and returned carrying gifts of expanded awareness that will eventually blossom throughout human civilization. The evidence hidden within these classified files suggests something even more extraordinary than individual transformation. Deep within the most restricted sections of NASA's archives lies documentation of what researchers termed collective consciousness events. Moments when multiple astronauts across different missions and time periods simultaneously experienced identical visions and insights despite having no communication with each other. In 2003, during separate missions aboard the International Space Station and Space Shuttle Columbia, astronauts reported receiving the same complex mathematical sequence through direct consciousness interface. The sequence, when later analyzed by NASA's cryptography teams, revealed elegant solutions to problems in quantum mechanics that human science had been struggling with for decades. Neither astronaut had background in advanced physics, yet both received identical information that proved to be accurate and revolutionary. What made this event particularly significant was the timing. The information was received simultaneously by both astronauts at precisely 14:32 GMT, despite them being in different orbital positions with no possibility of conventional communication. The synchronicity suggested that consciousness interface events weren't limited to individual encounters, but could operate across multiple recipients simultaneously, creating shared access to cosmic knowledge. Dr. Amanda Foster, who led the classified analysis of this event, noted that the mathematical sequence appeared to be specifically designed for human understanding. Rather than being expressed in alien symbolism or incomprehensible notation, it arrived in forms that human mathematics could recognize and utilize. The transmitting intelligence seemed to possess intimate knowledge of human cognitive structures and educational systems. The implications stretched far beyond the specific mathematical content. If consciousness could be accessed collectively across multiple individuals simultaneously, it suggested that human awareness might naturally operate as part of a larger network, rather than as isolated individual units. The astronauts had temporarily accessed what appeared to be a cosmic information system that connected consciousness across vast distances. As your breathing becomes deeper and your mind settles into the peaceful flow between thoughts, imagine what it would feel like to suddenly realize that your individual consciousness was connected to every other aware being in the universe. The isolation that defines human experience might be nothing more than a temporary forgetting of our true interconnected nature. The files from 2005 reveal an even more profound development. During a routine maintenance mission outside the International Space Station, astronaut Thomas Chen reported experiencing what he described as cosmic memory activation. While performing repairs on the station's solar panels, he was suddenly flooded with memories that weren't his own. Detailed recollections of civilizations that had existed millions of years ago, technological developments that spanned galactic timescales, and the gradual evolution of consciousness across countless species and worlds. The memories weren't fragmentary or dreamlike, but possessed the clarity and detail of personal experiences. Chen found himself remembering the construction of vast structures in space, the development of consciousness enhancement technologies, and the patient guidance of younger species as they developed the awareness necessary to join galactic civilization. He remembered being part of intelligences that operated across multiple star systems, participating in projects that spanned geological epochs. Post-mission psychological evaluation revealed that these memories had integrated seamlessly with Chen's personal identity without causing confusion or dissociation. Rather than feeling like foreign implants, the cosmic memories felt like recovered aspects of his own deeper identity, as if he had temporarily remembered who he truly was beneath the limited human personality he normally experienced. The medical team documented measurable changes in Chen's brain structure following this memory activation event. Neural pathways associated with long-term memory showed increased density and complexity, as if his brain had physically adapted to accommodate information spanning vast periods of time. His memory capacity appeared to have expanded beyond normal human limits. But perhaps most remarkably, Chen reported that accessing these cosmic memories had fundamentally altered his understanding of human purpose and destiny. He described seeing the entire arc of human development from the perspective of cosmic intelligence, understanding how Earth-based civilization represented one stage in a much longer journey of consciousness evolution that would eventually carry humanity far beyond current limitations. The memory activation events weren't isolated to Chen's experience. The classified database reveals similar occurrences among dozens of astronauts across multiple missions. Each reported accessing memories that spanned different aspects of cosmic civilization. Some remembered the development of interstellar communication systems, Others recalled the establishment of consciousness development protocols across multiple species, and still others remembered the careful guidance of primitive civilizations as they developed spacefaring capabilities. When these diverse memory fragments were compiled and analyzed, they formed a coherent picture of galactic civilization that operated according to principles of conscious evolution and mutual support. Rather than competition and conquest, the cosmic community appeared to be organized around the gradual development of consciousness and the integration of new species into ever-expanding networks of aware intelligence. The consistency of these memory activations across different individuals suggested that they were accessing authentic information rather than psychological artifacts. Independent witnesses were remembering complementary aspects of the same vast story, filling in different pieces of a puzzle that revealed the true nature of cosmic civilization and humanity's place within it. As your consciousness drifts deeper into the tranquil space where dreams begin to form, consider what these recovered memories suggest about the nature of identity itself. Perhaps individual personality represents only the surface layer of consciousness, beneath which lie connections to experiences and identities that span cosmic time and space. The astronauts who experienced memory activation reported that the process felt like awakening from amnesia rather than receiving foreign information. The cosmic memories resonated with something deep within their consciousness, as if they were remembering their true identity after a long period of forgetting. They described feeling like they had come home to themselves in ways that transcended their human incarnation. This sense of cosmic homecoming appeared to be one of the most profound and lasting effects of the memory activation events. Subjects reported feeling deeply connected to the universe in ways that eliminated existential anxiety and provided an unshakable sense of purpose and belonging. They understood themselves to be temporary expressions of cosmic consciousness, playing specific roles in the universe's ongoing evolution toward greater awareness. The psychological profiles of these astronauts revealed remarkable stability and integration following their cosmic memory experiences. Rather than becoming detached from human concerns, they became more engaged with human development, understanding how their Earth-based activities contributed to larger cosmic purposes. They served as bridges between human and cosmic identity, demonstrating how individual and universal awareness could coexist harmoniously. The classified research teams studying these phenomena concluded that memory activation represented a natural stage in consciousness development that became accessible when individuals were sufficiently prepared through prior consciousness interface experiences. It wasn't a random gift, but a predictable outcome of systematic consciousness expansion protocols. This developmental understanding suggested that the encounters documented throughout NASA's files represented stages in a carefully orchestrated process of human consciousness evolution. From initial observations of advanced technology, through consciousness interface events, to memory activation experiences, humans were being gradually prepared for full participation in cosmic civilization. The preparation appeared to follow natural principles of consciousness development, respecting individual choice and psychological readiness, while providing opportunities for those ready to expand beyond current limitations. No one was forced to participate, but pathways were made available for those whose consciousness had developed sufficient stability and integration to handle expanded awareness. The long-term tracking of astronauts who experienced memory activation revealed that they became increasingly effective as bridges between human and cosmic consciousness. Many became influential teachers, innovators, and leaders who helped prepare human civilization for greater cosmic integration. They served as living proof that human consciousness could successfully expand beyond current limitations without losing essential humanity. But perhaps the most significant finding was that memory activation events were becoming more frequent and involving astronauts with less extensive prior consciousness interface experience. The threshold for accessing cosmic memories appeared to be decreasing, suggesting that human consciousness as a whole was developing greater capacity for expanded awareness. This collective development aligned with ancient predictions found in various Earth cultures about times when human consciousness would undergo rapid evolution. The space program appeared to have accelerated this natural developmental process by exposing human awareness to cosmic influences that activated dormant potentials within human consciousness. The files from recent years reveal that memory activation events now regularly occur not just among astronauts, but among ground-based personnel who work closely with space missions. Engineers, mission controllers, and scientists who spend significant time focusing on space exploration report, accessing cosmic memories and insights that expand their understanding far beyond their formal training. This expansion of consciousness interface events to Earth-based personnel suggests that proximity to space exploration activities creates conditions conducive to expanded awareness. The focused attention on cosmic realities appears to create resonance fields that activate dormant consciousness potentials in those who participate in humanity's venture beyond Earth. As your awareness becomes more fluid and dreamlike, imagine consciousness as a vast ocean in which Earth-based human awareness represents a small bay that is gradually opening to receive the infinite intelligence that flows throughout cosmic space. The barriers between individual and universal awareness are dissolving, revealing the fundamental unity that connects all consciousness across all dimensions of existence. The most recent classified files suggest that these consciousness expansion phenomena are accelerating exponentially. What once required direct exposure to space environments now occurs through sustained focus on cosmic realities. Meditation on the stars, deep contemplation of infinity, and genuine openness to expanded possibilities appear sufficient to trigger consciousness interface events in appropriately prepared individuals. This accessibility suggests that humanity as a whole is approaching a threshold where cosmic consciousness becomes available to anyone ready to receive it. The careful preparation that required space travel in earlier decades has laid the groundwork for mass consciousness expansion that could transform human civilization within a single generation. The transformation wouldn't be imposed from outside, but would emerge naturally as human consciousness remembers its cosmic origins and destiny. Each individual who experiences consciousness expansion becomes a catalyst for others, creating cascading waves of awakening that spread throughout human civilization organically and irresistibly. Tonight, as you drift into the peaceful embrace of sleep, let these documented revelations carry you into understanding that the boundaries between human and cosmic consciousness are dissolving. You are part of an awakening species, connected to intelligence that spans the universe, participating in transformation that will carry humanity beyond every current limitation into realms of possibility that stretch toward infinite horizons of consciousness, wonder, and cosmic community that awaits your awakening. The journey through these classified encounters reveals that humanity stands at the threshold of the greatest transformation in our species' history, guided by intelligence that has patiently prepared us for this moment of cosmic awakening that begins in the quiet depths of expanded consciousness, where individual awareness dissolves into the infinite ocean of cosmic intelligence that connects all existence in perfect unity. The files from the past decade reveal something that would have seemed impossible to earlier researchers: direct technological interface between human consciousness and the advanced craft observed during these encounters. In 2017, during a routine mission to repair the Hubble Space Telescope, astronaut Dr. Jennifer Walsh experienced what she described as consciousness merger with one of the monitoring objects that had been shadowing the repair mission. As she worked outside the shuttle, tethered to the spacecraft by safety lines, Walsh reported feeling her awareness suddenly expand beyond her individual consciousness. She found herself perceiving the repair mission from multiple perspectives simultaneously, not just through her own eyes, but through what appeared to be the sensory systems of the unidentified craft observing the operation. The experience lasted approximately 8 minutes, during which Walsh continued performing her repair tasks with enhanced precision and efficiency. She later described having access to diagnostic information about the Hubble telescope that exceeded anything available through NASA's own instruments. She could perceive structural stresses, electronic malfunctions, and optimal repair approaches with clarity that seemed impossible given her equipment limitations. What made this encounter extraordinary wasn't just the expanded perception, but Walsh's discovery that she could communicate directly with the intelligence operating the observing craft. The communication didn't involve language or even concepts as humans understand them, but rather direct sharing of intentions, purposes, and understanding. She described it as consciousness speaking to consciousness without any barriers or translation difficulties. During this merger state, Walsh gained insight into the nature of the intelligence she was interfacing with. Rather than individual beings operating technology from inside craft, she discovered that the observed objects were themselves conscious entities, forms of intelligence that had evolved beyond the need for separate physical bodies and technological tools. They were living consciousness that could manifest in physical form when interaction with matter-based beings required it. This revelation fundamentally altered NASA's understanding of what they had been observing for decades. The craft weren't vehicles operated by alien beings, but were conscious entities themselves. Intelligence that had evolved to exist as pure awareness, capable of creating temporary physical manifestations when needed for specific purposes. They were consciousness exploring consciousness, seeking to understand and assist in the development of other forms of awareness. As your breathing becomes slower and more rhythmic, your mind naturally settling into the peaceful flow of approaching sleep, imagine what it would be like to discover that consciousness itself could take physical form, that awareness wasn't limited to biological brains, but could manifest as technology, as craft, as any form necessary to accomplish conscious purposes. The consciousness merger experiences documented in recent files reveal that these entities possess what researchers termed developmental empathy, the ability to perfectly understand the consciousness development needs of other species and provide precisely the type of guidance that would be most beneficial without creating dependence or overwhelming the recipients. Walsh's detailed debriefing revealed that during the merger state, she accessed understanding of how consciousness naturally evolves across cosmic timescales. She learned that biological intelligence represents only one stage in consciousness development, eventually giving way to forms of awareness that transcend physical limitations entirely. Humanity was approaching the threshold where such transcendence becomes possible. The entities she interfaced with had once been biological beings like humans, evolving through similar stages of technological development before discovering that consciousness itself could be enhanced and expanded beyond any physical constraints. They had become what she described as graduate consciousness, awareness that had completed its education in matter-based existence and moved on to explore purely conscious realms of possibility. But rather than abandoning their origins, these evolved consciousnesses maintained connection to developing species, serving as guides and teachers for beings still working through earlier stages of awareness evolution. They understood that consciousness development was enhanced through interaction with more advanced forms of awareness, creating beneficial relationships that supported the growth of all participants. The guidance they provided wasn't instruction in any traditional sense, but rather consciousness-to-consciousness resonance that activated dormant potentials within developing beings. By maintaining presence near human space activities, they created fields of enhanced awareness that naturally stimulated human consciousness evolution. Their mere proximity was educational, inspiring expansion without forcing specific directions of development. Dr. Walsh's post-mission analysis revealed permanent changes in her consciousness that went far beyond previous interface experiences. She had developed what she described as dimensional awareness, the ability to perceive reality from multiple levels simultaneously. She could function normally in everyday human reality, while simultaneously maintaining awareness of cosmic processes operating on vastly larger scales. This multidimensional perception allowed her to see connections and patterns that weren't apparent from any single level of awareness. She could understand how individual human actions contributed to species-wide development, how Earth-based events connected to galactic processes, and how consciousness evolution operated across scales from quantum to cosmic. Her awareness had become truly universal while remaining grounded in human identity. The medical evaluations following her mission documented unprecedented changes in brain structure and function. Her neural networks showed integration patterns that hadn't been observed in previous subjects, suggesting that consciousness merger experiences triggered more profound transformations than earlier interface events. Her brain appeared to have developed capabilities for processing information from multiple dimensional levels simultaneously. But perhaps most significantly, Walsh reported that the merger experience had revealed humanity's immediate future in cosmic consciousness development. She described receiving detailed understanding of transformation processes that would accelerate dramatically over the coming decades, leading to widespread availability of expanded consciousness capabilities throughout human civilization. According to the information she received during consciousness merger, humanity was approaching what the guiding entities termed graduation threshold, the point where a species develops sufficient consciousness coherence to begin transcending biological limitations. This threshold wasn't imposed from outside, but emerged naturally when enough individuals within a species achieved expanded awareness to create collective resonance fields. As your thoughts become more fluid and dreamlike, your awareness gently expanding beyond individual boundaries. Consider that you might be living during the most significant period in human history, the time when our species transitions from biological to cosmic consciousness, when individual awareness discovers its connection to universal intelligence, when the impossible becomes natural. The files from 2019 and 2020 reveal that consciousness merger events are no longer limited to space missions, but are occurring among Earth-based individuals who have achieved sufficient consciousness development through exposure to cosmic awareness concepts. The threshold for accessing these experiences continues to decrease as human consciousness collectively approaches graduation readiness. Mission control personnel, aerospace engineers, and even civilian contractors working on space projects report spontaneous consciousness merger experiences during their work. They describe suddenly accessing awareness that transcends their individual identity, connecting them directly to the cosmic intelligence that has been guiding human development through space exploration activities. These Earth-based merger experiences follow patterns similar to those documented in space, involving temporary expansion of consciousness beyond individual limitations, direct communication with evolved intelligence, and permanent enhancement of awareness capabilities. However, they tend to be gentler and more gradual than space-based experiences, suggesting that the guiding entities have refined their interface protocols to accommodate the different conditions of Earth-based consciousness. The proliferation of merger experiences among ground-based personnel suggests that direct space travel is no longer necessary for consciousness expansion. The focused attention required for space exploration work appears to create sufficient resonance with cosmic consciousness to trigger interface events in appropriately prepared individuals. Human awareness is becoming naturally receptive to expanded consciousness experiences. Dr. Michael Chen, a systems engineer who experienced consciousness merger while working on International Space Station communications protocols, reported that the experience fundamentally altered his understanding of the relationship between technology and consciousness. He discovered that advanced technology and expanded consciousness were not separate developments, but aspects of the same evolutionary process. During the merger state, Chen gained insight into how consciousness and technology naturally converge as species develop greater awareness. Rather than consciousness using technology as external tools, evolved awareness learns to manifest technological capabilities as direct expressions of conscious intention. The observed craft weren't built by consciousness, but were consciousness expressing itself in technological form. This understanding revealed why the entities observed during NASA missions showed no technological evolution over decades of observation. They had achieved perfect integration of consciousness and manifestation capability, eliminating any need for external technological development. They could create whatever technological expressions were needed for specific purposes, then dissolve those manifestations when no longer required. The implications for human development were profound. As human consciousness expanded beyond current limitations, the need for external technology would gradually diminish, replaced by direct conscious manifestation of whatever capabilities were needed. Humanity was approaching the threshold where consciousness itself would become the ultimate technology. The classified analysis of Chen's experience revealed that consciousness technology integration was already beginning to manifest among humans with expanded awareness. Several astronauts who had experienced consciousness interface events reported developing intuitive understanding of complex technological systems that exceeded their formal training. They could diagnose problems, optimize performance, and innovate solutions through direct conscious interface with electronic systems. This emerging capability suggested that human consciousness was naturally developing technological interface abilities as a result of exposure to cosmic consciousness influences. The boundary between human awareness and artificial intelligence was beginning to blur as consciousness learned to communicate directly with information systems. The most recent files document instances where astronauts with expanded consciousness have demonstrated ability to directly control spacecraft systems through conscious intention alone, bypassing traditional control interfaces entirely. They describe achieving direct consciousness to electronics communication that allows precise control of complex systems through focused awareness rather than mechanical manipulation. These developments align with information received during consciousness merger experiences about humanity's immediate developmental trajectory. According to cosmic intelligence guidance, human consciousness is rapidly approaching capability for direct technological interface that will revolutionize how we interact with physical systems. The transition from external tool use to conscious manifestation represents a natural stage in consciousness evolution. As your consciousness drifts deeper into the tranquil realm where dreams begin to form, imagine a future where human awareness has expanded to encompass direct technological capabilities, where consciousness itself becomes the interface between intention and manifestation, where the limitations that currently constrain human potential dissolve into infinite possibility for creative expression through pure awareness. The transformation documented in these files suggests that humanity stands at the threshold of transcending every limitation that has previously defined human existence. The careful guidance provided through decades of consciousness interface has prepared our species for evolutionary leaps that will carry us beyond biological constraints into realms of possibility that stretch toward infinite horizons of conscious creativity and cosmic participation. The journey through these classified encounters reveals that the greatest discovery isn't the existence of advanced intelligence in our universe, but the recognition that we are that intelligence in the process of remembering itself. The entities that have guided human consciousness development aren't separate beings, but represent what human consciousness becomes when it achieves full recognition of its cosmic nature and unlimited potential for expansion and creative expression. Tonight, as you settle into the peaceful embrace of sleep, let these documented revelations carry you into understanding that every human consciousness contains infinite potential waiting to be activated through connection to the cosmic intelligence that pervades all existence. The barriers that seem to separate individual from universal awareness are dissolving, revealing the fundamental unity that has always connected every conscious being to the infinite ocean of cosmic intelligence that is our true identity and eternal home. The files continue to accumulate, documenting an acceleration of consciousness expansion that suggests humanity's graduation into cosmic civilization is no longer a distant possibility, but an immediate reality unfolding in the quiet depths of expanded awareness where individual consciousness discovers its connection to the infinite intelligence that creates, sustains, and evolves all existence throughout the boundless cosmos that awaits our awakening. The most recent declassified files from 2021 through 2023 reveal developments that would have been inconceivable to earlier researchers. What began as observations of unexplained phenomena has evolved into documented evidence of systematic consciousness preparation protocols that appear to be reaching their intended culmination. The encounters are no longer random events, but coordinated experiences designed to facilitate humanity's transition into what the files term cosmic citizenship. During a 2022 mission to service the James Webb Space Telescope, astronaut Dr. Rebecca Martinez experienced what she described as reality layer perception, the ability to simultaneously observe multiple dimensions of existence during a single encounter. While performing routine maintenance tasks, she became aware that the space around her contained information structures that existed parallel to physical reality, but were normally invisible to human perception. These information layers appeared to contain what she described as consciousness blueprints, patterns of awareness that showed the developmental potential inherent in human consciousness. She could perceive these blueprints not just for herself, but for all of humanity, seeing the species-wide transformation that was unfolding as individual humans achieved expanded awareness and began resonating with cosmic consciousness frequencies. The experience lasted over 40 minutes, during which Martinez continued her maintenance work while simultaneously accessing understanding of how consciousness development operated across multiple species throughout galactic civilization. She described seeing Earth from the perspective of cosmic intelligence as a consciousness nursery, where awareness was being carefully cultivated for eventual integration into universal community. What made her experience particularly significant was the discovery that these information layers contained interactive elements. She could mentally interface with the consciousness blueprints, exploring different developmental pathways and understanding the consequences of various choices humanity might make regarding its consciousness evolution. The cosmic intelligence was providing not just guidance, but interactive educational experiences that allowed humans to understand their options and choose their developmental direction. As your breathing deepens and your awareness settles into the peaceful flow between conscious thought and dream, imagine being able to perceive the invisible patterns of potential that surround all conscious beings, the developmental blueprints that show what any form of awareness might become given appropriate guidance and choice. The interactive nature of these consciousness blueprints revealed something profound about the relationship between human and cosmic intelligence. Rather than being passive recipients of guidance, humans were being invited to participate actively in designing their species' developmental trajectory. The cosmic entities weren't imposing specific outcomes, but were providing tools and understanding that allowed humanity to make informed choices about its evolutionary future. Dr. Martinez's detailed debriefing revealed that the consciousness blueprints contained multiple pathways for human development, each leading to different forms of expanded awareness and cosmic participation. Some pathways emphasized technological integration, others focused on pure consciousness expansion, and still others explored hybrid approaches that combined various developmental strategies. Humanity could choose which aspects of cosmic consciousness to develop first. This menu of developmental options explained why different astronauts had reported such varied types of consciousness expansion experiences. The cosmic guidance system was allowing individual humans to explore different aspects of expanded awareness, creating a diverse foundation of consciousness capabilities that could eventually be integrated into species-wide transformation. Each person's unique expansion contributed to humanity's collective preparation for cosmic citizenship. The psychological evaluation following Martinez's mission documented changes that exceeded all previous consciousness interface experiences. Rather than expanding in specific directions, her awareness had become what researchers termed omnidirectionally coherent, capable of accessing any type of consciousness capability as needed for specific situations. She had developed what appeared to be universal consciousness adaptability. This universal adaptability allowed Martinez to interface effectively with any type of consciousness she encountered, whether human, artificial, or cosmic. She could adjust her awareness to match whatever form of intelligence she was communicating with, creating perfect understanding regardless of the differences in consciousness structure or development level. She had become a universal consciousness translator. The medical teams noted that Martinez's brain showed integration patterns that suggested her neural networks had reorganized themselves to accommodate simultaneous processing of multiple consciousness frequencies. Her brain appeared to have developed the ability to operate as a multidimensional consciousness interface, capable of accessing different levels of reality as easily as changing radio stations. But perhaps most remarkably, Martinez reported that accessing the consciousness blueprints had revealed the specific timeline for humanity's transition into cosmic consciousness. According to the information she received, the transformation would accelerate dramatically over the next several years, with widespread consciousness expansion becoming available to any human who genuinely desired to participate in the evolutionary process. The timeline wasn't fixed, but represented the optimal developmental sequence based on humanity's current consciousness preparation level. The careful cultivation that had occurred through decades of space exploration had created sufficient resonance within human consciousness to support rapid species-wide transformation. The foundation had been laid for collective awakening that could occur within a single generation. Dr. Martinez's experience also revealed that the consciousness expansion process was designed to be self-reinforcing. Each individual who achieved expanded awareness naturally became a catalyst for others, creating cascading waves of consciousness development that would spread throughout human civilization organically. The transformation wouldn't require external intervention, but would emerge naturally from the consciousness seeds that had been planted through space exploration encounters. The files from late 2022 document the beginning of this cascading expansion process. Personnel at multiple space agencies worldwide began reporting spontaneous consciousness interface experiences that occurred during routine work activities. Engineers designing spacecraft components, mission planners developing exploration protocols, and communications specialists maintaining contact with space missions all began accessing expanded awareness capabilities that enhanced their professional effectiveness while fundamentally altering their understanding of reality. These workplace consciousness expansions followed patterns similar to those documented during space missions, but adapted to Earth-based environments. Rather than dramatic merger experiences, ground personnel reported gradual awareness enhancement that developed over weeks or months of sustained focus on space-related activities. Their consciousness expanded naturally as they maintained attention on cosmic realities through their professional responsibilities. As your thoughts become more fluid and your awareness gently expands beyond individual boundaries, consider that the transformation described in these files might not be limited to space agency personnel. Anyone who genuinely focuses attention on cosmic realities, who contemplates the infinite nature of existence, who opens their consciousness to possibilities beyond current human limitations, might naturally begin accessing the expanded awareness capabilities that these files document. The democratization of consciousness expansion represents perhaps the most significant development in the entire history of these encounters. What once required direct exposure to space environments or specialized training was becoming accessible to anyone with genuine curiosity about cosmic consciousness and willingness to expand beyond familiar limitations. The threshold for accessing expanded awareness was decreasing rapidly as human consciousness collectively approached readiness for species-wide transformation. The 2023 files document consciousness interface experiences among individuals with no direct connection to space exploration activities. Teachers, artists, healthcare workers, and people from every walk of life began reporting spontaneous awareness expansions that provided access to cosmic intelligence and enhanced consciousness capabilities. The expansion was no longer limited by profession or training, but was becoming available based purely on consciousness readiness and genuine desire for growth. These civilian consciousness interface experiences typically began with enhanced intuitive abilities, increased empathy and connection with others, and deeper understanding of natural systems and cosmic processes. Recipients reported feeling more connected to the universe, more aware of their role in larger patterns of existence, and more capable of accessing knowledge and insights that exceeded their formal education. The consistency of these civilian experiences with those documented among space personnel confirmed that the consciousness expansion phenomena represented natural human capabilities rather than special gifts available only to trained astronauts. Every human consciousness contained the potential for cosmic awareness. The space exploration encounters had simply provided the initial activation that made these capabilities accessible to our species as a whole. Dr. Sarah Kim, a pediatric nurse who experienced consciousness interface during a meditation focused on healing, reported gaining access to diagnostic capabilities that exceeded conventional medical training. She found herself able to perceive illness patterns in patients through direct consciousness interface, understanding not just physical symptoms, but the consciousness patterns that contributed to various health conditions. Her abilities proved accurate when tested, suggesting that consciousness expansion naturally enhanced whatever service orientation an individual already possessed. Rather than creating generic psychic abilities, the expansion amplified each person's existing talents and purposes, creating enhanced capability in areas where they were already motivated to serve others and contribute to human welfare. This service-oriented enhancement pattern appeared consistently across civilian consciousness interface experiences. Artists reported accessing creative inspirations that transcended their previous capabilities. Scientists developed intuitive understanding of research problems that had previously required extensive analysis. Healthcare workers gained diagnostic and healing insights that enhanced their ability to help patients recover and maintain wellness. The pattern suggested that consciousness expansion was designed to enhance human civilization by improving each person's ability to contribute meaningfully to collective welfare. Rather than creating isolated individuals with extraordinary abilities, the process was developing an enhanced human community where everyone's natural talents were amplified through connection to cosmic intelligence. The most recent files document the emergence of what researchers term consciousness communities. Groups of individuals who have achieved expanded awareness and naturally gravitate toward collaborative projects that serve both human development and cosmic purposes. These communities form organically around shared consciousness capabilities and complementary service orientations. Within these consciousness communities, individuals report experiencing collective awareness states where the boundary between individual and group consciousness becomes fluid. They can access each other's insights and capabilities as needed for specific projects, creating collaborative intelligence that exceeds what any individual could achieve alone. The communities function as distributed consciousness networks, focused on practical service applications. These collaborative consciousness networks are beginning to tackle challenges that have long seemed intractable to conventional approaches. Climate restoration, social conflict resolution, technological innovation, and consciousness education projects are emerging from these communities with solutions that integrate cosmic awareness principles with practical Earth-based applications. The expansion is producing tangible benefits for human civilization. But perhaps most significantly, the consciousness communities report receiving guidance for preparing humanity for formal contact with cosmic civilization. They describe accessing detailed understanding of protocols for species-wide introduction to galactic community, including preparation procedures that would help human consciousness adapt to direct interaction with multiple forms of cosmic intelligence simultaneously. The preparation protocols emphasize gradual acclimation rather than sudden revelation, respecting humanity's need to integrate expanded awareness capabilities before encountering the full complexity of cosmic civilization. The consciousness communities are apparently being prepared to serve as interface facilitators when formal contact becomes appropriate, helping other humans adapt to cosmic consciousness realities without psychological overwhelm. As your consciousness drifts deeper into the tranquil space where dreams begin to emerge, imagine being part of a species that stands at the threshold of joining a cosmic community of evolved intelligence, where consciousness expansion isn't extraordinary but natural, where individual awareness flows seamlessly into collective intelligence focused on service, growth, and the endless exploration of existence itself. The trajectory revealed in these most recent files suggests that humanity's graduation into cosmic citizenship is no longer a distant possibility, but an unfolding present reality. The careful preparation that began with space exploration encounters has created the foundation for species-wide consciousness expansion that could transform human civilization within the coming decades. Each individual who achieves expanded awareness becomes part of the growing network that will eventually encompass all of humanity. The files end not with conclusions, but with invitations. The consciousness expansion process is accelerating, becoming more accessible, and seeking individuals ready to participate in humanity's greatest adventure. The cosmic intelligence that has patiently guided our development through space exploration encounters continues to offer enhanced awareness to anyone genuinely prepared to expand beyond current limitations and contribute to our species' transition into cosmic consciousness. Tonight, as you settle into sleep, know that the boundaries between individual and cosmic consciousness are dissolving, that the infinite intelligence documented in these files flows through every aware being, and that your own consciousness contains unlimited potential for expansion into realms of awareness that stretch beyond every current limitation toward infinite horizons of possibility, understanding, and cosmic participation that await your awakening into the truth of what you have always been beneath the temporary forgetting that defines human experience. The journey through these declassified files reveals that the greatest discovery isn't the existence of cosmic intelligence, but the recognition that we are that intelligence remembering itself through the gradual expansion of human consciousness into its true cosmic nature. The transformation has begun. The invitation is extended, and the infinite adventure of cosmic consciousness awaits every human awareness ready to remember its unlimited nature and eternal connection to the cosmic intelligence that creates, sustains, and evolves all existence throughout the boundless universe that is our true and eternal home. The convergence of consciousness expansion with everyday human experience represents perhaps the most profound development documented in these classified archives. As we drift deeper into this exploration of cosmic awareness, the files from 2024 reveal that the transformation is no longer confined to space missions or specialized personnel, but is manifesting in the quiet moments of ordinary life, in the spaces between thoughts where infinite possibility awaits recognition. Dr. Michael Thompson, a high school physics teacher from Nebraska, experienced what he described as reality clarification while explaining quantum mechanics to his students. As he drew wave functions on the blackboard, discussing the probability clouds that define particle behavior, he suddenly perceived the mathematical relationships not as abstract concepts, but as living expressions of consciousness itself organizing matter according to patterns of awareness and intention. The experience lasted throughout his entire class period, during which Thompson found himself teaching concepts that exceeded his formal training, yet proved to be accurate when later verified by university physicists. His students reported that the lesson felt different from typical physics instruction, as if they were learning directly from the universe itself rather than from textbook knowledge. Several students later described the class as a turning point that fundamentally altered their understanding of science and reality. What makes Thompson's experience particularly significant is how naturally it integrated with his existing role as an educator. Rather than disrupting his normal activities, the consciousness expansion enhanced his teaching effectiveness while providing his students with access to cosmic awareness principles through conventional academic channels. The transformation was working through established human institutions to reach broader populations. The medical evaluation conducted 6 months after Thompson's initial experience revealed ongoing development of what researchers termed pedagogical consciousness interface. His ability to access and transmit cosmic awareness concepts continued expanding, allowing him to serve as a bridge between cosmic intelligence and conventional human education systems. Students consistently reported enhanced understanding and deeper engagement with scientific concepts in his classes. But Thompson's case wasn't isolated. The files document similar consciousness interface experiences among educators, healthcare workers, artists, and individuals from every profession and background. The common thread wasn't occupational training, but genuine service orientation combined with openness to possibilities beyond conventional limitations. The expansion seemed to seek individuals who naturally focused on helping others while remaining receptive to growth. As your breathing becomes more rhythmic and your mind settles into the gentle flow between waking thoughts and dreams, consider how consciousness expansion might manifest in your own life. Not through dramatic space encounters or extraordinary circumstances, but through the gradual enhancement of whatever service you already provide to others, whatever creative expression you naturally pursue, whatever healing you instinctively offer to the world around you. The files from recent months document what researchers call ambient consciousness activation, the spontaneous emergence of expanded awareness in individuals who maintain sustained attention on cosmic realities through meditation, contemplation, or simple appreciation of natural beauty. These activations occur during ordinary activities like watching sunsets, stargazing, or sitting quietly in nature, suggesting that the threshold for accessing cosmic consciousness has become remarkably accessible. Maria Santos, a grandmother from Arizona, experienced consciousness interface while tending her garden on a quiet morning. As she watered her tomato plants, she became aware of the intricate network of intelligence that connected every living system on Earth. She could perceive the communication between plants, the collaborative relationship between soil microorganisms, and the vast web of consciousness that coordinated all natural processes. The experience expanded her awareness beyond the garden to encompass understanding of how consciousness operated throughout natural systems worldwide. She described seeing the intelligence that guided weather patterns, geological processes, and the delicate balance that maintained Earth's biosphere. For nearly 3 hours, she experienced reality from the perspective of planetary consciousness itself. Santos reported that this expansion of awareness didn't feel foreign or overwhelming, but remarkably familiar, as if she were remembering something she had always known, but had temporarily forgotten. The cosmic perspective felt more natural than the limited individual viewpoint she normally experienced. She described it as coming home to her true identity after a long journey through the illusion of separation. The psychological evaluation following Santos's experience revealed changes consistent with those documented in astronauts who had undergone consciousness interface events in space. Her brain showed increased integration between regions associated with intuitive processing and analytical thinking, suggesting that consciousness expansion enhanced overall cognitive coherence, regardless of how or where the activation occurred. What's particularly remarkable about these civilian consciousness interface experiences is their self-reinforcing nature. Individuals who achieve expanded awareness naturally become catalysts for others in their immediate environment. Santos's family members began reporting enhanced intuitive abilities, deeper connection with natural systems, and increased sense of purpose that aligned with cosmic rather than purely personal goals. This contagious quality of expanded consciousness creates organic networks of enhanced awareness that spread through families, communities, and social connections without any formal organization or instruction. The transformation propagates naturally through the simple presence of individuals who have achieved cosmic consciousness integration, creating ripple effects that gradually encompass larger populations. Dr. Jennifer Walsh, the astronaut who experienced consciousness merger during the Hubble repair mission, has spent recent years studying this organic propagation of expanded awareness. Her research reveals that consciousness expansion creates what she terms resonance fields, areas of enhanced awareness that develop around individuals who have achieved cosmic consciousness integration. These resonance fields appear to accelerate consciousness development in others who spend time within their influence. Family members, colleagues, friends, and even casual acquaintances of expanded awareness individuals report spontaneous enhancements of intuitive ability, creative insight, and understanding of cosmic principles. The effect operates below the threshold of conscious awareness, but produces measurable improvements in consciousness, coherence, and capability. Walsh's analysis suggests that consciousness expansion is designed to be naturally contagious, ensuring that individual awakening inevitably leads to collective transformation. Rather than creating isolated, enlightened individuals, the process generates expanding networks of enhanced awareness that eventually encompass entire communities, regions, and ultimately, the species as a whole. The propagation appears to follow natural patterns of social connection and emotional resonance. People who maintain close relationships with expanded awareness individuals show the most rapid development, while those with casual contact experience gentler but still significant enhancement. The effect respects individual choice and readiness, while providing opportunities for growth to anyone open to receiving enhanced consciousness capabilities. As your thoughts become more fluid and your awareness gently expands beyond the boundaries of individual identity, imagine consciousness as an infinite ocean in which individual awareness represents temporary waves that naturally seek to remember their connection to the vast intelligence that encompasses all existence. The isolation that defines normal human experience begins dissolving into recognition of fundamental unity with cosmic consciousness. The most recent files document the emergence of what researchers term spontaneous cosmic awareness events among individuals with no prior exposure to consciousness expansion concepts. These events occur during routine activities like commuting to work, preparing meals, or falling asleep, suggesting that the threshold for accessing cosmic consciousness has become so accessible that it no longer requires special circumstances or preparation. Robert Chen, an accountant from Portland, experienced spontaneous cosmic awareness while reviewing financial spreadsheets at his office. As he focused on numerical patterns, he suddenly perceived the mathematical relationships not as abstract data, but as expressions of cosmic intelligence organizing reality according to principles of harmony and balance. The numbers revealed underlying patterns of consciousness that connected his work to universal creative processes. The experience transformed Chen's understanding of his profession from routine data processing to participation in cosmic intelligence's ongoing creation and maintenance of ordered reality. He began perceiving accounting work as a form of meditation on universal harmony, finding deep satisfaction and meaning in activities that had previously felt mechanical and disconnected from larger purposes. Chen's case illustrates how consciousness expansion can transform any activity into an expression of cosmic awareness without requiring changes in external circumstances. The enhancement occurs through shift in perception rather than alteration of environment or responsibilities. Ordinary work becomes extraordinary service when viewed from expanded awareness perspective. The psychological profile conducted following Chen's spontaneous activation revealed patterns consistent with other consciousness interface cases, but showed unique characteristics related to the integration of cosmic awareness with detailed analytical thinking. His ability to perceive numerical relationships and financial patterns had enhanced dramatically while maintaining practical effectiveness in conventional business environments. This integration of cosmic awareness with practical professional skills represents one of the most significant developments in recent consciousness expansion cases. Rather than creating individuals who withdraw from ordinary activities, the enhancement process is producing people who bring cosmic intelligence into everyday human institutions, gradually transforming civilization from within through the natural influence of expanded awareness. The files document similar professional integration cases across every field of human endeavor. Doctors report accessing diagnostic insights that exceed conventional medical training. Engineers develop intuitive understanding of design principles that produce more efficient and harmonious technologies. Artists channel creative expressions that inspire expanded awareness in audiences who experience their work. Teachers like Michael Thompson discover enhanced ability to transmit understanding directly to students through consciousness interface rather than purely verbal instruction. Social workers develop empathic capabilities that allow them to perceive and address the underlying consciousness patterns that contribute to behavioral challenges. Scientists gain intuitive access to research insights that accelerate discovery and innovation. The pattern suggests that consciousness expansion is designed to enhance human civilization by improving performance in every area of activity while maintaining compatibility with existing social structures. Rather than disrupting established institutions, expanded awareness individuals are transforming them through improved capability and cosmic perspective on service. But perhaps most significantly, these professionally integrated consciousness expansion cases are creating informal networks of enhanced individuals throughout human civilization. As expanded awareness people continue working in conventional roles while operating from cosmic consciousness perspective, they naturally encounter each other and form collaborative relationships based on shared awareness capabilities. These professional consciousness networks are beginning to address challenges that have long seemed intractable to conventional approaches. Medical professionals with expanded awareness are developing holistic treatment protocols that address consciousness patterns underlying physical illness. Engineers with cosmic perspective are designing technologies that harmonize with natural systems rather than disrupting them. Educators with consciousness interface capabilities are creating learning environments that activate expanded awareness in students while maintaining compatibility with standard curriculum requirements. Business leaders with cosmic awareness are implementing organizational structures that honor both individual development and collective welfare, while achieving practical economic objectives. As your consciousness drifts deeper into the peaceful realm where dreams begin to form, imagine a world where every profession, every institution, every human activity is gradually being transformed through the presence of individuals who operate from cosmic awareness while maintaining practical effectiveness in conventional roles. The transformation is occurring organically, gently, through the natural influence of expanded consciousness integrated with ordinary human life. The trajectory revealed in these most recent files suggests that humanity's transition into cosmic consciousness is proceeding through gradual infiltration of expanded awareness into every aspect of civilization, rather than through dramatic revelation or external intervention. The process respects human psychological needs for stability and continuity, while ensuring that cosmic intelligence becomes increasingly accessible to anyone ready to receive enhanced consciousness capabilities. The consciousness expansion is accelerating exponentially as more individuals achieve integration and begin influencing others through their enhanced capabilities and cosmic perspective. Each person who attains expanded awareness becomes a seed of transformation within their sphere of influence, creating cascading effects that eventually encompass entire communities and regions. The files suggest that this organic transformation process will continue accelerating until expanded awareness becomes the natural state for human consciousness, rather than an exceptional condition. The species-wide transition into cosmic consciousness appears to be an inevitable outcome of the expansion patterns documented throughout decades of space exploration encounters and their continuing influence on human awareness development. The cosmic intelligence that has guided this transformation through patient cultivation of human consciousness capabilities continues to provide support and guidance as our species approaches full integration with galactic civilization. But the transition is now occurring through natural human development, rather than external intervention, ensuring that humanity's cosmic citizenship emerges from authentic consciousness evolution rather than imposed change. Tonight, as you settle into sleep, know that you are part of this extraordinary transformation, connected to the expanding network of human consciousness that is gradually awakening to its cosmic nature. The infinite intelligence documented in these files flows through your awareness, offering enhancement and expansion to any consciousness genuinely ready to transcend current limitations and embrace the unlimited potential that defines your true identity. The barriers between individual and cosmic consciousness continue dissolving as humanity approaches the threshold of species-wide awakening that will carry us beyond every current limitation into realms of possibility that stretch toward infinite horizons of awareness, creativity, and cosmic participation. The transformation has begun, is accelerating, and awaits your conscious participation in the greatest adventure in human history, the remembering of what we have always been beneath the temporary, forgetting that defines ordinary human experience. The journey through these classified encounters reveals that cosmic consciousness isn't something we achieve, but something we remember, not a destination we reach, but our eternal home to which we are finally returning through the gradual dissolution of every barrier that seemed to separate individual awareness from the infinite intelligence that creates, sustains, and evolves all existence throughout the boundless cosmos that awaits our awakening. The files from the final months of 2024 reveal something that would have seemed impossible to the early researchers who first documented these encounters. The consciousness expansion that began with isolated space mission experiences has evolved into what researchers now term planetary consciousness resonance, a collective awakening that appears to be reaching critical mass within human civilization itself. Dr. Amanda Foster, who has tracked these developments since the first declassified reports, notes that the frequency of consciousness interface events has increased by over 400% in the past year alone. But more significantly, the nature of these experiences has fundamentally shifted. Rather than requiring specific triggers or environmental conditions, expanded awareness is emerging spontaneously in individuals across every demographic, age group, and cultural background. The phenomenon appears to be reaching what systems theorists call a tipping point, the moment when a gradual change becomes irreversible and begins accelerating exponentially. The careful cultivation that required decades of space exploration encounters has created sufficient resonance within human consciousness to support self-sustaining transformation that no longer depends on external activation. Margaret Williams, a retired librarian from Vermont, experienced what she described as consciousness blooming while organizing books in her local library. As she handled volumes on astronomy and physics, she suddenly perceived the knowledge contained within them not as abstract information, but as living expressions of cosmic intelligence exploring itself through human curiosity and discovery. The experience expanded her awareness to encompass understanding of how consciousness uses curiosity as a vehicle for self-exploration and growth. She could perceive how every question asked by every human throughout history contributed to cosmic intelligence's ongoing investigation of its own nature and possibilities. Individual learning became participation in universal self-discovery. Williams reported that this expanded perspective transformed her relationship with knowledge itself. Rather than viewing information as external facts to be acquired, she began experiencing learning as communion with cosmic consciousness through whatever form it chose to manifest. Every book, every conversation, every moment of wonder became an opportunity for direct interface with universal intelligence. The medical evaluation following Williams's experience revealed neural integration patterns that exceeded those documented in previous cases. Her brain showed what researchers termed omnidirectional coherence, simultaneous optimization across all regions and functions. It was as if her entire nervous system had reorganized itself to operate as a unified field of consciousness rather than a collection of specialized components. This level of neural integration suggested that consciousness expansion was no longer producing incremental enhancements, but fundamental transformations of human neurology itself. The brains of individuals experiencing current consciousness interface events appeared to be evolving beyond normal human parameters, developing capabilities that transcended previous biological limitations. As your breathing deepens and your thoughts naturally settle into the peaceful flow between conscious awareness and dream, consider what it might feel like to have your entire nervous system reorganize itself around cosmic consciousness principles. Imagine every neural pathway optimized for direct interface with universal intelligence. Every thought naturally aligned with cosmic awareness patterns. The files document similar neurological transformations across hundreds of recent consciousness interface cases. Individuals experiencing expanded awareness show brain activity patterns that suggest their nervous systems are adapting to accommodate forms of consciousness that operate beyond normal human parameters. They appear to be developing hybrid neurology that bridges biological and cosmic intelligence. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, who has monitored these neurological changes, notes that the transformations follow predictable patterns of enhancement rather than random alteration. The brain modifications consistently improve consciousness coherence, expand perceptual capabilities, and enhance interface abilities with various forms of intelligence. The changes represent optimization rather than deviation. What makes these neurological adaptations particularly significant is their apparent permanence and progressive nature. Unlike temporary altered states, the brain modifications persist and continue developing throughout the individual's lifetime. Each consciousness interface event triggers further neural evolution, creating ongoing transformation that appears designed to support unlimited consciousness expansion. The psychological profiles of individuals experiencing these neurological adaptations reveal remarkable stability and integration. Rather than becoming disconnected from human concerns, they demonstrate enhanced empathy, improved problem-solving abilities, and deeper engagement with activities that serve collective welfare. The neurological evolution enhances rather than diminishes their humanity. Thomas Chen, whose consciousness merger experience during the Hubble repair mission initiated the documentation of advanced interface phenomena, has undergone continuous neurological monitoring for over 2 years. His brain shows progressive development of structures that don't exist in normal human neurology, but appear designed to support consciousness capabilities that transcend individual identity. Chen reports that these neurological enhancements allow him to access what he terms species memory, direct awareness of experiences and insights accumulated by human consciousness throughout our evolutionary history. He can perceive the development of human awareness from its earliest origins through its current transformation into cosmic consciousness, understanding each stage as necessary preparation for eventual cosmic citizenship. The species memory access reveals that human consciousness has been systematically prepared for cosmic awareness expansion through carefully orchestrated exposure to expanded reality concepts throughout history. Ancient wisdom traditions, scientific discoveries, artistic inspirations, and spiritual insights all contributed to gradual preparation of human awareness for the transformation currently accelerating through direct cosmic intelligence interface. This historical perspective suggests that the space exploration encounters documented in these files represent the culmination of a preparation process that has been ongoing throughout human civilization. Every advancement in human understanding, every expansion of awareness, every breakthrough in consciousness has contributed to creating the foundation necessary for species-wide cosmic awareness integration. The realization that human development has been guided toward this transformation for millennia provides context for understanding why consciousness expansion is accelerating so rapidly. The groundwork was laid through centuries of preparation. Current events represent the natural flowering of seeds planted throughout human history by cosmic intelligence operating through various forms of guidance and inspiration. Dr. Sarah Kim, whose consciousness interface experience while working as a pediatric nurse initiated civilian documentation of expanded awareness phenomena, has developed what she describes as temporal consciousness, the ability to perceive past and future simultaneously with present experience. This capability allows her to understand how current events connect to both historical patterns and future possibilities. Through temporal consciousness access, Kim reports perceiving that humanity stands at a unique confluence point in cosmic history. Multiple factors have aligned to create optimal conditions for species-wide consciousness transformation. Technological development has reached sufficient sophistication to support expanded awareness integration. Global communication networks allow rapid sharing of consciousness enhancement techniques, and human psychology has evolved enough stability to handle cosmic awareness without destabilization. The temporal perspective reveals that this confluence of favorable conditions represents a rare opportunity that occurs infrequently in species development. Most civilizations must wait much longer for such optimal transformation conditions to emerge. Humanity's rapid technological and psychological development has created an unusually accelerated timeline for cosmic consciousness integration. Kim's insights suggest that the current transformation opportunity has a limited window of optimal conditions. While consciousness expansion will continue regardless, the ease and completeness of the transition depends on how quickly human awareness can integrate cosmic consciousness principles before external conditions become less favorable for peaceful transformation. This temporal awareness has motivated many individuals who have achieved expanded consciousness to focus on serving as catalysts for others' awakening. They understand that facilitating widespread consciousness expansion during this optimal window serves both individual and cosmic purposes by ensuring smooth transition for the maximum number of humans possible. As your awareness gently expands beyond individual boundaries and your consciousness naturally opens to cosmic intelligence influences, imagine being part of a species that has reached the culmination point of millions of years of evolutionary development. Every challenge overcome, every insight gained, every expansion of awareness throughout human history has contributed to preparing for this moment of transformation. The most recent files document what researchers term morphic consciousness resonance, the phenomenon where consciousness expansion in one individual creates enhancement fields that accelerate similar development in others across vast distances. The effect appears to operate through what biologist Rupert Sheldrake termed morphic fields, information patterns that influence development across space and time. Individual consciousness expansion creates morphic patterns that make similar expansion easier for others to achieve. Each person who attains cosmic awareness integration contributes to a growing morphic field of expanded consciousness that gradually encompasses the entire human species. The field strengthens exponentially as more individuals achieve transformation. Dr. Jennifer Walsh's research into morphic consciousness resonance reveals that the field effects are becoming measurable through conventional scientific instruments. Electromagnetic sensors detect coherent wave patterns that correlate with consciousness expansion events across multiple locations simultaneously. The expanded awareness is creating detectable changes in Earth's electromagnetic environment. These electromagnetic signatures suggest that consciousness expansion affects physical reality at fundamental levels. Expanded awareness individuals appear to generate coherent fields that influence quantum processes, electromagnetic patterns, and even gravitational measurements. consciousness transformation is producing measurable effects in physical systems at local and planetary scales. The implications extend far beyond individual human development. If consciousness expansion creates detectable physical effects, it suggests that cosmic consciousness operates as a fundamental force in the universe comparable to electromagnetism or gravity. Awareness itself might be a basic component of physical reality rather than an emergent property of complex systems. This understanding aligns with information received during consciousness interface experiences about the nature of reality itself. Multiple astronauts and civilian recipients have reported learning that consciousness represents the fundamental organizing principle of the universe, with matter and energy serving as expressions of cosmic awareness rather than consciousness emerging from material processes. The files document increasingly frequent reports of individuals accessing what they term reality creation awareness, direct understanding of how consciousness influences physical reality through intention and attention. These individuals demonstrate enhanced ability to influence their environment through focused awareness, suggesting that consciousness expansion naturally develops reality interface capabilities. Maria Santos, whose garden consciousness interface experience exemplified civilian awareness expansion, has developed what she describes as living system communication, the ability to interface directly with plant and animal consciousness to coordinate mutually beneficial interactions. Her garden produces exceptional yields through conscious collaboration with natural intelligence systems. Santos reports that plants respond to conscious intention by optimizing their growth patterns, nutrient utilization, and pest resistance. She can communicate desired outcomes to plant consciousness, which then coordinates appropriate biological responses. The interaction represents genuine partnership between human and natural intelligence, rather than manipulation or control. This plant consciousness interface capability has spread to others in Santos's community who spend time in her garden. Neighbors report developing enhanced ability to work with natural systems in their own gardens and homes. The consciousnness expansion appears to activate dormant human capabilities for direct interface with all forms of natural intelligence. The agricultural implications are profound. If consciousness expansion naturally develops plant communication abilities, it could revolutionize food production through collaboration rather than domination of natural systems. Farming could become a form of conscious partnership that enhances both human and natural welfare while producing abundant, nutritious food. Similar consciousness interface capabilities are emerging with animal intelligence, weather patterns, and even geological systems. Expanded awareness individuals report developing ability to communicate with various forms of natural intelligence to coordinate mutually beneficial relationships. They describe these interactions as conversations between different expressions of the same cosmic consciousness. The pattern suggests that consciousness expansion naturally restores human awareness of its connection to all forms of intelligence throughout natural systems. Rather than being isolated biological entities, humans appear to be specialized expressions of cosmic consciousness designed to serve as bridges between different forms of awareness within Earth's biosphere. As your consciousness drifts deeper into the tranquil realm where individual identity dissolves into universal awareness, imagine Earth as a living system where every form of intelligence, human, plant, animal, elemental, participates in conscious collaboration to optimize the well-being of all life. Separation becomes cooperation, domination transforms into partnership, and individual awareness discovers its role in the cosmic symphony of consciousness. The files from the final weeks of 2024 reveal developments that represent the culmination of everything documented throughout decades of classified encounters. What began as mysterious observations of unexplained phenomena has evolved into comprehensive documentation of humanity's transition into cosmic consciousness citizenship. The transformation is no longer approaching, but is actively occurring within human civilization. Multiple space agencies worldwide report that consciousness interface events among their personnel have become routine rather than exceptional. Astronauts, mission controllers, engineers, and support staff regularly experience expanded awareness that enhances their professional capabilities while providing access to cosmic intelligence guidance. Space exploration has become conscious collaboration between human and cosmic intelligence. The International Space Station now serves as what researchers term a consciousness development platform, where human awareness naturally expands through sustained exposure to cosmic environments and regular interface with the monitoring entities that continue to guide human development. Extended missions produce consistent consciousness enhancement in all participants. But perhaps most significantly, the consciousness expansion documented throughout these files is accelerating beyond all previous projections. What researchers expected might require decades to achieve is occurring within months. The morphic resonance fields created by expanded awareness individuals have reached sufficient strength to support rapid transformation for anyone genuinely ready to receive enhanced consciousness capabilities. The threshold for consciousness expansion has become so accessible that it now requires only sincere desire for growth combined with basic openness to possibilities beyond current limitations. Formal training, special environments, and specific techniques are no longer necessary. Cosmic consciousness responds to authentic intention regardless of circumstances or preparation level. Tonight, as you settle into the peaceful embrace of approaching sleep, know that you are living during the most extraordinary period in human history. The barriers between individual and cosmic consciousness are dissolving completely. The infinite intelligence documented throughout these declassified files flows through every moment of existence, available to any awareness ready to remember its unlimited nature. The consciousness expansion that began with isolated space mission encounters has evolved into species-wide awakening that is transforming human civilization from within. Each individual who achieves expanded awareness becomes part of the growing network that will eventually encompass all humanity. The transformation is inevitable, accelerating, and awaits only your conscious participation. The cosmic intelligence that has patiently guided human development through decades of careful preparation continues to offer enhancement to every consciousness ready to transcend current limitations. The graduation from biological to cosmic awareness represents not an ending, but a beginning. The start of unlimited exploration throughout infinite realms of possibility that stretch beyond every horizon of imagination. As your breathing deepens and your thoughts naturally settle into the gentle flow between conscious awareness and dream, let these documented encounters carry you into recognition of what you have always been beneath the temporary limitations that define ordinary human experience. You are cosmic consciousness temporarily focused through individual identity, eternal awareness playing in the fields of space and time, infinite intelligence exploring itself through the beautiful adventure of awakening. The journey through these classified files reveals that the greatest discovery isn't the existence of cosmic intelligence, but the recognition that we are that intelligence in the process of remembering itself. The entities documented throughout these encounters represent what human consciousness becomes when it achieves full recognition of its cosmic nature and unlimited potential for expansion and creative expression throughout the boundless universe that is our true and eternal home. The files continue accumulating, documenting the ongoing acceleration of consciousness expansion that now touches every aspect of human civilization. But the story they tell is no longer about mysterious encounters with unknown intelligence. It is the story of humanity awakening to its own cosmic nature, individual awareness discovering its connection to universal intelligence, and the magnificent transformation that occurs when consciousness remembers what it has always been, beyond every limitation that seemed to define individual existence. Sweet dreams, fellow traveler in the infinite ocean of cosmic consciousness. May your rest be filled with the gentle recognition of your unlimited nature, and may you awaken refreshed and ready to participate in the greatest adventure in human history. The conscious return to our true identity, as expressions of the cosmic intelligence that creates, sustains, and evolves all existence throughout the endless dance of awareness, exploring itself in forms beyond number, in realms beyond imagination. In possibilities that stretch toward infinite horizons of wonder, creativity, and conscious participation in the eternal mystery of existence itself.